He's Mr. Campaign Finance Reform, right? The questions last week about how former Senator Russ Feingold has handled his own political action committee. The Journal-Sentinel reported that Feingold had raised $7.1 million for the committee, but spent only 5% of that on candidates or political parties. The rest went for fundraising, paying a group of Feingold aides hundreds of thousands of dollars, and paying Feingold himself more than $77,000. Other reports suggested that Feingold used the fund for lavish dinners, four-star hotels, and maybe even to pay for his Washington, D.C. apartment. All of this took place after he was defeated for re-election in 2010. Feingold is running in next year's election against the man who beat him then, Ron Johnson. So is this going to be a problem, Dan Adams?
In the short term, it certainly is, but and that's the point that I think that is being underreported, is why is this terrible story coming out now, where something 16 months from the election? Usually the really bad stuff comes out later, so it has maximum impact on the polls, and I think that says a lot about how Senator Johnson sees himself in this race. He's something like 13 points down.
Senator Johnson has nothing to do with this. This was Dan Bice from the Journal-Sentinel.
Yeah, but who do you think fed him this story? And I think it's interesting that they're trying to take Feingold down a peg so that Senator Johnson can get the national resources he needs.
Takes him down many notches, and I think this actually says that Russ Feingold thought he was not going to run for public office again, so he saw this loophole and this ability to kind of live large on other people's money, and it's exactly what he did, and he never thought he was going to get caught at it.
Okay, long-term, short-term problem?
Well, I think it's a problem in the short term, but more a problem for insiders than the public at large. The public at large views these types of stories, unless they result in convictions, charges and convictions, they're kind of sleepers. They slept through the Walker, investigation, that type of thing. And the bottom line is, at this point, all they know is that he got $77,000 in salary out of $7 million. But if that starts adding up, if he really did do his apartment, if all of a sudden Feingold's pocketing $1 million, you got a problem. And there's nothing right now that says that.
I love this story too, but I'm skeptical that the story has real legs. What it's going to do is probably be down the line used to show some of his hypocrisy. You know, he is the white knight of campaign finance reform, and to be exploiting this. And we Republicans have some of these scam PACs on our side that take in lots of money and raise money.
It is a scam PAC, and I think this is why it's damaging, because his image when he was first elected were two things. Number one, that he was the sanctimonious, self-righteous, holier than thou candidate. That he was also the funny, happy-go-lucky guy, neither of which was true. So this goes right at the heart of his image, that he is Mr. Clean. Now, Lynn is right, that it's very, very early, and this is insider. However, as I've said on the radio in the past, in his first iteration in politics, he went for 18 years without ever having any negative coverage of him by the mainstream media at all. What this will do is, I think, it may hurt that ongoing narrative, the image, and it goes again to something kind of fundamental for Russ Feingold. I mean, if you are Mr. Clean, you're more vulnerable. I mean, if this was about the Clintons, okay, we know the Clintons are corrupt. I mean, we know that they run sham stuff, but this is a guy who has ranted and railed and
criticized. He's criticized every other elected official and every Republican who's run out there who's taken any sort of third-party money.
Well, and I did think Johnson's response was pretty telling. He said he has become what he despised. He has become exactly what he railed against, and he did it, and Michelle, I think, pointed this out as well, he did it when he thought nobody was looking. And he had that sense that what happened was, okay, I've lost for re-election, basically screw it, I'm gonna take care of myself now.
He was also in some professional flex. I think it's fair to say he didn't think he was coming back, and he didn't want to be a lawyer or a lobbyist or somebody who's glad-handing on the Hill for money.
He would not have done this if he was thinking he was running for re-election back then. I think this was, okay, I got this big sock of money, I'm gonna, live for free in my apartment, I'm gonna pay myself a salary, I'm gonna keep my cronies on the salary.
But go ahead.
Well, I think we have to wait to find out, did he really do that with the apartment? Because I think that is a turning point that could revamp up this story.
I actually think, I agree with you.